All right, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today we're going to be talking about building a personalized capsule perfume wardrobe and some of the considerations and things that you need to think about when doing so. And I'm going to build one from my collection and just kind of give you some ideas on the thought process behind that. So hopefully that helps you if you decide that you would like to do something like this. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions and hear about some of my fragrances in my own personal capsule wardrobe, then let's go. Okay, so why build a capsule perfume wardrobe? Well, first of all, less is more. Cost effectiveness, right? You have purchased a few fragrances that fit into certain categories, and you can focus on those fragrances and use those fragrances, right? You don't have a bunch of other fragrances in the overhead that aren't really getting any use. You know, maybe they've been sitting in your cabinet for a year, or maybe they only get like one or two wearings a year. So that's kind of almost a waste. And so you have curated a selection of fragrances that get constant wear. It also gives you opportunity to, find your signature scent. It's really difficult to identify a signature scent when you have a massive collection of fragrances and you wear different fragrances each day. So if you have like a few select fragrances, it's easier to hone in and identify that signature scent for yourself as well as for others around you. It's like, if you're meeting people, or maybe you're meeting with friends that you meet often, and each time you're meeting up with them, you have a different scent on, right? It's hard for them to identify you based off your scent. However, if you have a signature scent that you wear, daily, it's a daily driver for you, then people start to recognize you by that scent. To each his own, of course, this is all opinionated, but the smaller collection that you have, the easier it is for you to identify a signature scent for yourself as well as the others around you. And I think also too, it's just about like minimizing clutter. Like for me, living here in Japan, now granted, I do have quite a large collection. However, I'm very limited on space. So even though my collection is quite large, I'm gonna have to go through my collection and start getting rid of fragrances that I haven't touched in the past year. And actually, I'm thinking about doing a video on that topic. I do wanna kind of clean up my collection a bit, and if I haven't touched these fragrances in the past year, I just want to get rid of them. But if you have your own kind of personal wardrobe capsule selection of fragrances, maybe 5 or 6, then you don't have to worry about that, and you've gotten rid of the whole clutter issue. So that's another benefit to having a wardrobe like this. Okay, so when you're building a capsule selection, you really need to understand your scent profile. What types of scents do you typically gravitate towards? Do you like fresh, spicy, slightly sweet, gourmand fragrances, woody fragrances? What type of scent profile do you gravitate towards? So you need to identify that. Also, you need to consider lifestyle considerations, like, what are your daily routines, habits? Are you someone who stays inside, or do you venture out, in the evenings? Like, what type of lifestyle do you have? And you need to consider that when you're trying to build a capsule selection like this. The other thing to consider is like seasonal shifts. So where in the world do you live? What kind of weather do you have? So for me, living here in Japan, I need to also consider the seasons. We go through 4 seasons here, and the summers are brutally humid. So considering the seasonal shifts in the area that you live in is extremely important as well. So how would I build the perfect capsule selection for myself? Well, first of all, I would choose a versatile everyday fragrance, something that's clean and fresh. You can wear on casual outings, you can wear it to work, you're not going to offend anybody. So my first choice for that would be from the house of Labo. We have Another 13. So this is just a very kind of clean molecule style of fragrance. Many people can't even pick up on this fragrance. And for me, in my wearing experience of this, it's not shoved in my face for sure. And it's like, I'll wear this and I'll catch whiffs of it. And then for a couple hours, I may not even smell it. And then 5 hours later down the road, I'm catching whiffs of this again. So it's one of those fragrances that some people pick up, some people don't, but it is just very clean. I wouldn't even say it's fresh. It just comes off like very, very clean. Yeah, it's a difficult one to describe, but this is a fragrance that works with your own body chemistry. So it might smell differently on, everybody, depending how this kind of interacts with your own body chemistry. But for me, and the vibe that I get off this is just very clean. It's non-offensive, and it would work perfectly, in the work environment or just kind of casual outings during the day. This is a fragrance that you can wear. You don't have to worry about a thing. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Another 13 by Labo. So my next choice for kind of a versatile everyday fragrance would be Bois de Ambrette by Atelier Materi. So as you can see, I just have the 10 ml bottle here. So our Atelier Materi sells either 10 ml or 100 ml bottles. So I just went with the 10 ml on this one, but I really, really enjoy this fragrance. So I'm probably gonna be upgrading to the 100 ml after I've burned through this one. But basically, this is kind of a fresh, kind of green, slightly zingy, musky style of fragrance. This does have ambrette seed in here, which ambrette seed, when it's used in fragrance, gives off kind of a musky-like vibe. And that muskiness in this fragrance is deepened even further in the dry down by some other musk that is starting to push forward. But this, off the top, almost kind of took me back the first time I smelled it. It was kind of green and a bit zingy and almost slightly bitter. But, after about like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, then I was like, oh, okay. So the beginning opening blast kind of took me back. It wasn't necessarily unpleasant, but it was just so different that it kind of caught me off guard, and I wasn't really expecting that. But once I kind of let this fragrance dry down a bit and settle, I was really happy with how this fragrance developed. It is just, again, it's a slightly powdery, fresh, musky, and it almost kind of functions as like a second skin, but it's very non-offensive. This is just kind of moderate sillage, moderate projection with this one, but overall it's very, very pleasant, fresh, and a very easy wear in my opinion. And so I feel like it would fit perfectly in just like an everyday kind of versatile fragrance category. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Bois de Ambrette by Atelier Materi. All right, next up, in terms of your capsule selection, it's probably good to choose a fragrance that is for evening elegance. So something that's a bit more complex, seductive, alluring, has a bit of sex appeal to it for those evening outings. Maybe it's like for a date night or something like that. So I've chosen 2 fragrances for this category as well. First up, from the house of BDK, we have Tabac Rose. So as you guys know, I love the note of rose, and rose is a note in fragrance that is very seductive, sexy, and alluring to me. Every time I smell it, I'm just immediately drawn to it. And I feel like rose is a note that is quite versatile, but I feel like it fits perfectly in the evening time. And a fragrance like this, it is a rose fragrance that has a subtle touch of tobacco in it, but it also has gourmand qualities. So you get a bit of a chocolatey, rosy type of vibe here. So it definitely pushes into that gourmand territory without being fully gourmand, but it's such a beautiful composition. And this one was perfumed by Julien Rasquinet, who is one of my favorite perfumers. I feel like anything he touches, he basically can do no wrong. This is such a gorgeous and intoxicating wear. And I feel like for me, every time I wear this fragrance, I do wear it in the evening time, it tends to get compliments. People really, really enjoy this one. So I would say this is definitely one to check out. If you enjoy kind of rose, gourmandy, slightly sweet fragrances, this would be one that would fit perfectly. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Tabac Rose by BDK. Next up, from the house of Mayo Fusciuni, we have Little Song. Okay, so this fragrance is a fragrance sent from heaven for me, because the reason why I say that is this fragrance contains so many of my favorite notes used in perfumery: tobacco, rose, vetiver, and coffee. And that is all combined and blended beautifully to create the most intoxicating and seductive fragrance, in my humble opinion. The rose in here comes off quite green. This does have kind of an earthy quality to it, and that's coming most likely from the vetiver and some other woods that are in this fragrance. But man, it also kind of has like a dark kind of freshness to it that makes this fragrance so intriguing and seductive. And I think that dark quality is something that's quite alluring and just kind of brings people in. It's just very mysterious. I don't know. I love the fragrance, and I think the House of Mayo Fusciuni is one of those houses that's very underrated in general. So I definitely want to dive a bit deeper into this house. I do have a couple fragrances from the house, which I absolutely love. Yeah, I think Mayo Fusciuni is a house that is an artisanal house, right? This is art in a bottle. Any fragrance I smell from that house is art. But when I say that, I think when you hear that term art, you know, I think a lot of people kind of think, oh, it's unwearable. These fragrances are very, very wearable. And yeah, again, I'm very humbled in a way to wear a fragrance like this. It is just a masterclass in how to create a fragrance that will take you on a journey. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Little Song by Mayo Fusciuni. All right, in our last category, when you're thinking about building a capsule, perfume capsule wardrobe, is the weekend adventure. So something bold, playful, casual, you know, something built for travel. So I've chosen 2 fragrances for this category as well. So first up, from the house of Lorenzo Pazzaglia, we have Summer Hammer. Man, so this one is just fruity, juicy, thick, creamy, slightly boozy, and a bit sweet. This is, I don't know, this gives me vibes of just being on vacation, to be honest. It's a very playful fragrance, but this fragrance is thick. It is very thick. It is dense. So for me, when I wear this fragrance, it's like 2 sprays and I'm good. This one pushes out quite heavily, but it is a delicious, delicious combination here. This fragrance does have coconut in it, but it doesn't come off like, sometimes coconut can kind of give off like a lactonic type of vibe. This fragrance doesn't really do that, but it does have coconut, a bit of sandalwood, and it gives this fragrance that creaminess. This fragrance definitely has a creaminess to it. So I think with this one, you kind of have to be careful if you're gonna be in a very humid climate, because it might come off a bit cloying. And for me, living here in Japan, if I'm speaking about, you know, the summertime, I would never wear this one during the day because it's so humid during the daytime here in Japan. But in the evenings, for summer evenings, I could definitely pull this one off. But in any other season, you can easily pull this one off. This is a mood booster for me. It's just very bright, and you know, it just makes me feel good every time I wear it. So this is one of those, again, I think it fits the bill perfectly for being like a playful kind of casual travel fragrance to just brighten any mood. It works perfectly for that. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Summer Hammer by Lorenzo Pazzaglia. And finally, from the house of Edit H, we have Rose Mojito. Man, so this fragrance is green, woody, boozy, and just slightly floral. You do have a bit of rose in here, and that's combined beautifully with some lime and some rum. And like I said, you do get, it's kind of like you get mojito vibes from this. So if you've ever had a mojito, that's kind of exactly what you get here. It's just very refreshing, clean, and it fits perfectly if you're going to like a travel destination. Even more so like in the spring or summer, I feel like this would fit perfectly. But I mean, you really could wear this any time of the year. It's just very bright and uplifting, and just, I don't know, it's a mood booster in my opinion. Now, Edit H, if you're not familiar with this brand, this is a Japanese brand. Yeah, I'm really interested in this house, so hopefully I can get a sample set from them and dive in a bit further. Man, this one just fits the bill perfectly for those casual kind of travel outings when you just want to feel refreshed, clean, and just uplifted in mood. This is a go-to. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Rose Mojito by Edit H. All right, guys, so yeah, that's basically how I would build a capsule selection if I was going to do that based off the fragrances that I had. So, you know, if you are just starting to get into fragrances, or if you just want to have like a little collection for yourself, think about building like a perfume capsule wardrobe. I think that would be the way to go. All right, you guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comment section if you were going to build a perfume capsule wardrobe based off the categories that I had in this video. How would you build yours? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.